What's going on, everybody? I am Brian Tann, as always, your host of Tann Talks, and with me, as she is every early of the week, usually Monday, today Tuesday, it's Melinda D. Melinda, how are you?
Hi, I got a new toy. You want to see?
This is a family show. We don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. I want it. I don't even read tarot, and I want it. I love it. And of course, as soon as I start marking out, here comes Odette just charging into the room. Like, is everything okay? Is everything okay?
Dad, do you need me? Do you need me? I heard you screaming. You okay? You okay?
I think if someone broke into this house to try to kill me, she'd be like, "Hello, new friend. Wait, are you trying to hurt my dad?" Now I'm
Not gonna
scared.
lie. Here's my hellhound.
You know, she looks a lot more like a hellhound than Odette does. She looks like Thorn from Lost Boys.
She has a service dog vest for when I need it, and I have
Yeah,
a patch that says "Do not disturb service hellhound." It's
nice.
got the anti-possession symbol on it.
That's awesome. I love it. So, speaking of supernatural and anti possession, we are on episode 5 of the Winchesters. We're about at the halfway mark. Well, no, not yet. We still have a few episodes to go before we're at the halfway mark. This is a 13 episode first season. And this week's episode is titled Legend of a Mind. In this episode, we learn a
Really
lot.
freaking good.
This is a really, really great episode.
I'm glad
Like,
I didn't give up because it got a lot better.
yeah, and that's the one thing about the Winchesters is that this is a show that it started slow, but its narrative is getting so much better. And
Yes.
as we're getting to know these characters, the actors are getting to know them better, and they're doing an even better job. Each week, they've just gotten better and better at bringing these characters to life. And this episode is like really no exception. But your girl Ada, we even get to know Ada a little bit better in this as well.
Yes. Yes. It's funny. I was listening to a different podcast, and the host is talking about um, witches. It's a witch podcast, and he's talking about witches in pop culture, and he's very big on um, snap. Went right out of my head. He's very big on
Proper
inclusion,
representation
inclusion,
and inclusion.
and there's a better word, and it's not coming to me. But that,
Representation.
thank you, representation, and that you think witch and you think white girl,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
That's the one thing that really bothers me
Yeah, you think
a
straight
lot.
witch, and
Yeah,
there's
you
this
always think,
couture and all that bullshit witch stuff. Sorry, you said family friendly, and this is the Winchesters,
nah,
so
it's okay. It's okay.
um, and he's
And
very
we know
big
what's
on
going on.
the inclusion of the LGBTQ witches and male witches and POC witches.
Yes.
And they were talking, especially in pop culture and media like that. Sabrina was white. We have a lot of white witches. And then I'm like, man, I wish ended the podcast, but I would throw Ada in there because she's amazing.
She is an amazing, and I'll tell you what, and this is something though that we got a lot in all throughout time, really, in all throughout time, whenever it was mainstream, there was always someone that was white and straight
Yep.
for any role. And now, granted, every now and again, if you got someone of color or you got someone LGBTQ plus, it was a caricature.
Yes.
You either got the black character that was either the overtly mad all the time, male or female, or they were caricatures.
Yes, and when you're talking witches, especially, you had when they were showing, especially black female witches, they were very hoodoo. Like I'm thinking, like Tia Dalma. It was a caricature, but
it was a different type of caricature because it was almost like they were insulting two for the price of one.
Yes, it wasn't the angry black woman trope. It was the super hoodoo voodoo, like ooh,
and misrepresenting hoodoo and voodoo
of the craft.
and misrepresenting both like
Yes,
terribly. Because
absolutely.
a
I mean, I
lot.
love Tia Dalma. Don't get me wrong. As a character, I love Tia Dalma, but
Mhm. But there's also aspects of what the way they would present voodoo.
yes, voodoo was
They
always evil. It was always, all this stuff, and I got
or it was like or it was misrepresented
yes,
because it was hoodoo.
right, and it was voodoo dolls, they're bad or
Right.
whatever. When like hex bags and stuff, and I got a chance to go to the Museum of Voodoo in New Orleans, and learning about all of that was fascinating. And there's so much stuff I didn't know because of how it's presented to us in the media. It's
Right.
blood sacrifices and all this stuff. And I know we're getting a little off topic, but
No, it's fine.
there's
I mean, this is an Ada episode, so I think this is important that we talk about it.
there's
Be-
there's been this string of bizarre cattle deaths, actual like real life, right? And the first thing somebody said in one of the groups I'm in on Facebook was, "Well, it is spring, so there are a lot of pagan rituals," and it's
uh,
the most ignorant. Like we don't. I mean, I'm sure there are some that do, and I know that that is still a thing in voodoo and hoodoo and in some pagan cultures and rituals and circles and stuff. But like cattle mutilation and like that is so
bro,
not what
yeah,
it's about, right?
bro, that's more aliens. Number
Yeah,
one,
it
let's
is
be
not like
real.
that, and I love it. Like,
Well, not only that, but what really, really gets me is when stuff like this happens, and you get that dismissive. Oh well, the pagans like that. That sort of dismissive, like honestly, do you know that for a fact? No, then shut up.
right.
Like I hate people like that. Like I got involved in a discussion. I inserted myself into a discussion yesterday where one person commented on the firing of a particular individual from a particular news network. And another person was sitting there and just whining and complaining, oh, we've lost our voice and blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah. And it's like, bro, oh, and then of course, oh, and people have a problem with free speech. So it's like, number one, if you're going to talk, know what you're talking about. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences.
consequences. Yes, I
Freedom of
hear that all the
speech,
time.
right? Freedom of speech for those who have not taken basic civics means that you can say stuff and the government can't throw you into a deep, dark hole. You can come out and, say F this politician, F that politician until the cows come home. The government will not throw you in jail. Now, if you say F said politician, I'm going to unalive that person,
They're coming for you.
now they're coming for you because that is not protected via free speech. Private companies and individuals do not fall under the free speech doctrine. If you say something that it is well within your rights to say something and not be arrested for it, but your rights don't begin where mine end. So I don't have to listen to you. I
And
can disassociate with you.
and on that note, we've all got our trigger words, right?
Yeah.
Don't. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on it, and then we can get to the episode. Is
Yes.
don't don't you heathen? If you're calling somebody a heathen, and like I hear people say it all the time when their kids or people are acting like
Oh, you're acting like a yeah.
you
I
little
hate that.
heathen, and it's like
I hate
no
that.
heathen. You're using heathen as a slur for uncultured, and it's the exact opposite. So
Yeah.
know better, do better. I'm putting heathen on the banned word list unless you are literally talking about somebody's religion and you're using it in a positive manner.
Thank you. Well, that's just like too. Anytime I hear the G word for Romani,
Yes.
I hear that word.
Slur. Don't use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell you what, I was really, really grateful when I had someone educate me on it.
Know better, do better. And now that you
Exactly.
know, if you're listening to this, now you know, do better.
There you go. So this episode it starts out with a strange death where a politician wakes up from a nightmare, clinging to his head, screaming and hollering, and drops dead.
Yep.
Those of us who are fans of Supernatural, we know there's a djinn involved. Why? Because that's what djinn do. Well,
And the djinn are a super cool bad guy. Like I really like the djinn. And we're following that whole out of North America Djinn are not native to North America.
No, they're not. They
So I'm
show up.
loving that.
Yeah, they show up here. They've shown up even in the Parent series. When you saw them, it was like, holy crap, we're dealing with the djinn.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Love
because you
it.
didn't see djinn all the time.
No, I love the djinn.
Now the djinn, the way they are presented in Supernatural, because while the djinn have their bit of mythology, certain things differ from here or there. Like case in point, the Bartimaeus trilogy, the character Bartimaeus is a djinn. Well, he refers to himself as a jinne, but he's different than the djinn that we see here. You know what I
They're
mean?
djinn American gods too.
Right. But the djinn in Supernatural, they tend to be dream walkers and they feed off of people while they're asleep. Think of them as sort of like psychic vampires in a sense.
Yeah, they
They,
put you in
they put you in a deep sleep so they can feed.
yes, and in the Parent episode, Parent series, I want to say the sleep they put you in is a like your ideal
Your ideal sleep, your
right.
ideal
So
dream.
like when they put Dean in one, mom is alive, he's married to a beautiful girl, Sam is with Jessica, and it's so not his life. And then when Charlie, that episode with Charlie is so good. When
Yeah.
Charlie's put under by the djinn and they're in a video game. We learn a lot about Charlie in that episode, but Dean
Yes.
wakes up and he's in that military uniform and
What would your what if it were what sleep would a djinn put you in?
me,
Yeah.
I'd be diving the Great Barrier Reef.
Okay. I would
Or some
be,
beautiful tropical, like with sharks and just beautiful, you know what I mean?
I'd be Luke Cage.
Of course you would.
I would be Luke Cage. That would be me. And people would look at me and be like, hey, it's Luke Cage. And I'd be doing the Luke Cage thing. I'd be like, I don't know if I'd want to lead the Avengers. I'd kind of want to be left alone and do my own thing. But
I'm here
that
for
would
it.
that would be mine.
I support this dream.
Woo! So they go and they end up doing their investigative work as the Monster Club does. And they find a djinn hiding out somewhere in this real rundown factory because all monsters have to hide out in rundown places.
Well, yeah.
And we see a djinn rummaging through some stuff and take off running. And the djinn locks eyes with Ada and is gone and doing some really good flippiness, by the way. I mean, dude, kudos on his workout routine. And we find out from Ada that her deceased husband was a djinn.
Yeah.
She didn't know, and he at first called himself, he wanted to help people.
Ali was his name, right?
Ali was his name, yes. And he basically did all that he could to help people. And then his hunger got too great. So hunters killed him. And then she realized that she was pregnant. She hid from her son his father's lineage until he got older. And it turned out that's what he was. And I really love this dynamic because it goes to show, because we've heard in shows before where they say, look, mom's not perfect. Mom and dad, like this continues Supernatural in parenting. Now, last week we talked about how terrible of parents Mary and John Winchester were. The Campbells are terrible parents as well.
Well, we don't know much about mom.
Oh, well, we learned more about mom in this episode. We learned more about Mary's parents in this episode, and I can say unequivocally that the Campbells are terrible parents.
Yes, no, I just mean it's like we didn't know much about Millie until this show. Like
Right.
We learned a lot about Samuel in the Parent show. We did not learn much about Deanna, who is
Mary's mother.
Mary's mother.
Well, we learned that she was also a hunter. She was in on it, but yeah, she could have been nice mom hunter type. No, she sucks too.
Yeah, we didn't know much about her.
Millie is the only good parent so far. Because Ada, and Tony discovered this in her dream, was afraid of him. And he left because she wasn't honest with him. And he even said, I learned what I was alone, and I help people. I take just enough to survive, and I help people through things.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Freddy Krueger used his powers for good instead of evil?
Well, we don't see that much. I mean, even in the parent episode, we had the Kitsune played by the amazing Jewel State, who
Hmm.
you will get to see more of on Thursday when we talk about Firefly. Um,
Yep, I still got to watch the first episode.
yeah, she plays Kaylee, Kaylee in Firefly. But we learn about Jewel State, and her mother is awful, and she kills her mother so that Sam can escape when they're kids. And
Yep.
we learn that she's not bad. She's just she
And
eats she eats like scavenged hearts and feeds her kid the same. And she's a monster, but she's not a
evil.
an evil monster. And like
Mhm.
Benny,
Yeah,
there aren't many instances where we have a monster using their powers for good versus evil.
right. And that was the one instance where I hated Dean. That was one of the few instances that I hated Dean.
Dean is my favorite. There are a handful of times I can count where I'm like, yeah, I really don't agree with you on this.
Right. And for those that missed that episode, essentially, yeah, this girl and Sam were like really good friends. One of the few friends that Sam had as a kid. And then she saved Sam's life from her mother, killed her mother, lived on her own, raised her child, did everything the right way. And Dean killed her anyway. Because Dean was a butthole. And Sam actually ditched out on him for a while.
That's pre Benny.
That was pre Benny, but see, Sam brought that back up
He
when
did.
Dean showed up with Benny.
The only leniency I give Dean, and I don't agree with Dean's choice to kill her, right? But Dean at that point was still very black and white. Monsters are bad, angels are dicks, period. There
Right.
was
Anything that's not human
right
doesn't get a benefit of a doubt.
he meets Benny, and because they've been screwed. They were screwed by Ruby. I mean, they were screwed by Meg. Anytime they've befriended or worked with, how many times were they screwed by Crowley? They got screwed by the angels. When they make friends with these supernatural beings that are good, they get screwed in the end.
Right.
So,
and if the good guys are going to screw us, what are the bad guys going to do?
right. And then I think eventually that changes where he's willing to work with Benny, and
Right.
every now and then he's willing to work with a monster, but at that point he hadn't had that experience yet, so he was operating off of
what he was raised.
Yeah,
how he was raised to be.
Monsters are monsters, and they will always
turn on you.
There was that werewolf in season 1.
Yeah.
Heart.
Yeah.
She was good, but she couldn't control it.
Right.
Eventually they always turn.
Oh, you remember the one girl who became a werewolf because of her boyfriend, and then she had to change her sister because her sister was dying, and then she had to put her own sister down.
Yes.
She was one of the few instances, though, where they let her get away a few times.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's the vampire that gets away.
Yeah.
That comes back in the finale.
Yes.
So they've had this. His experience at that point was very black and white. Monsters are bad. They will always revert back to their base nature.
Right.
And we're not seeing that here, which is great.
Yeah, exactly. Tony is a good guy. And if it's not for Tony, Mary is done. Because essentially you find out that the Akrita have been killing these people.
Is it just me, or did the Akrita really, really remind you of the bug from Men in Black?
You know what? They remind me of a combination of the bug from the Men in Black, but also some of the bugs from Starship Troopers.
I've never seen Starship Troopers.
Oh, okay. But that's kind of what they remind me of. The Akrita also, like, we still don't know a lot about the Akrita, except for the fact that the only thing that can kill them is this weird box that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
Right. But they're getting to the point where they're trying really, really hard to find out what more is going on with Rock and Roxy. They figure out at the end that Rock and Roxy is the leader of the Akrita because she's buying up all this property.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially the Akrita attack, and it looks like Mary is saving a civilian from the Akrita. And it turns out that they were going after Mary. They slashed Mary.
Yeah, they made it so because Ada's son says when he was in that guy's head, somebody else was there.
Mm-hmm.
and he heard them talking about the next guy on their list that they were going after. So they hunt this guy down. We're building inspectors. Y'all are babies. You're not building inspectors.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, this isn't up to code.
Yeah,
I
no shit. I'm here
know.
to fix
That's
that.
why I'm here. Now,
I
what are
was
you
dying.
doing here? That was so, because it once again goes to show the reason why Sam and Dean always have that cover story that works is because their parents had to learn how to make these working cover stories.
Oh, but I just restarted the Parent series because that's what I do. And
Yeah.
that you're a little young for Marshalls. Well, thank you.
Yeah. I want to know why no one ever calls them out on their aliases being rock names. Like they rarely ever call them out. But meanwhile, for me,
Favorite is Agent Beyonce. I'm Agent Beyonce.
yeah, I'd just be like, wait, what?
Cass.
Yeah,
Oh,
Cass, I'm Agent Beyonce. And they're just looking at him like, what?
love it.
Like one of these days, seriously, I'm gonna pose as an air marshal and I'm gonna call myself Air Marshal 50 Cent.
And then the episode, because my son is watching it, and we just watched the episode where they call and Kevin answers the phone. He's in the bunker. It's the right after or right before the Wicked Witch and Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin Solo. Well, how did you do that? Because I'm Kevin freaking Solo. And
yeah, but the thing is, you can't do John Smith anymore, James Smith, because people will call you out on it.
Yes.
But if you go, yeah, my name is Doug Vetter, but you can call me Eddie. You know what I mean? That'd be that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I keep waiting for them to come up with some. I think part of it though is a lot of people know bands from the era.
Yeah.
But not so much who was in them.
Right. That's true.
The stuff that Sam and Dean use are classic rock, and you're a lot more likely with the audience watching the show to know who Hetfield and
or Pert.
Yeah. And the pop culture references, we're a lot more likely to get them versus, yeah, I may know who David Cassidy is and the Mamas and the Papas, but I can't tell you who the singers were.
Right.
So I think that would get lost on us for the most part.
Yeah. Like if I went up and said, my name is Agent Casey, if I went up to someone and said, my name is Agent Casey Haley or Joseph Haley, you're not going to know that's Casey and JoJo.
Yeah. I didn't know until you just said it just now.
See?
What would your name be? What would your cover be?
I would probably be Agent Nathan Morris, one of the singers from Boyz II Men.
Okay.
Or Agent McCrary, Michael McCrary from Boyz II Men. Or Tony Thompson, Agent Anthony Thompson, Tony Thompson from High Five. Yeah, see, I would go R&B singer.
Yeah.
Or I guarantee you won't get this one, Joseph Simmons.
Like Gene Simmons from Kiss?
Nope. Run from Run DMC.
Okay.
Because Run is Russell Simmons' younger brother. So, yep. That would probably be my alias, Joseph Simmons. Because it's still so plain of a name that anyone can have it.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna, nothing about that name is gonna stand out.
Yeah.
Or I'd probably Luke Cage. Why not? Because what's funny is that when you tell people, yeah, I'm a Marvel fan. Oh my God, yeah, I love everything from the MCU. Yeah, you into Luke Cage? Who?
Yeah.
Then you know nothing about Marvel.
Mm.
So we find out that the only way to save someone who has the Akrita in them is you've got to go in with the help of a djinn and force them.
Or some kind of dreamwalker.
Or some sort of dreamwalker. And then you have to force them to face something deep and dark because that's where the Akrita are hiding.
Yeah, and it's 3 spikes.
Yeah, there's 3 different spikes that they use, and they go into 3 of your worst memories. Things that you would have to face if you want closure. And we all have things that we don't want to face.
And see, we didn't get what I thought we were going to get from Mary.
What did you think we were going to get?
I thought we were going to learn more about her cousin.
Maggie? Maggie. Well, I know, Anita, I know you know Luke Cage. You've known me long enough. You hear me go on and on and on about him. And I know you knew who Luke Cage was before you met me because you are a learned person. And that's what I appreciate about you.
Yeah, I thought we were going to learn more about Maggie, but that's not the direction they went. I was a little surprised.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad we didn't go there because that would have been kind of too on the nose for me. But
Yeah.
I can't. But and this is why I say that the Campbells are shitty parents because we see like a 4-year-old Mary, and she's even told John, you know how when you're afraid of stuff under your bed and your mom says they aren't real. My parents told me that everything I was afraid of was real, and I have to grow up to learn how to kill it.
Well, that was a parallel from the pilot episode of The Parent Show.
Right.
Sam says that. He's like,
Right.
I was afraid of what was under my bed, and Dad gave me a 45. And Dean was like, of course he told you what what was out there.
Right.
So we learned that is just a Hunter thing.
That's a Campbell thing, man. That's a Campbell Winchester thing, honestly. That's the way I see it. Like the Campbells are
Mary, they did it to Sam.
Yep, did it to Dean.
Yeah, because Sam makes that comment. He's like, I was told that I was afraid of what was under my bed.
Right.
Or what was in the closet. And he's like, of course you should be. And
right.
He gave me a gun. Who does that?
Right. I know when Brian Jr. told me there was a monster, well, Brian Jr. thought there was a monster in his closet. I opened up his closet. I said, see, there's nothing in there. And if it was, Dad would kick its ass. And he felt better and he went to sleep. I'm not giving my son a loaded firearm.
We when my little one was like that, we got like a room freshening spray, like a lavender spray.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a monster spray tag on it.
Uh-huh.
And when she would get worried, we would just spray under her bed and in her closet. And so, and it didn't smell like dirty, stinky diapers, but at the same time, it was monster spray, and she loved it. So,
yep. So we see little Mary holding a knife.
Yes.
And that was just heartbreaking for me to see. The parent in me, just that hurt to see. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, man. As parents, we want to protect our children. You want to love on your children. But you've got your child traumatized to the point where she's not sleeping. Like, no wonder Mary wants to get the hell out of Lawrence and get away from her parents. I swear she's only looking for her dad out of some weird sense of loyalty to the man because he's the only father she knows.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if she had a surrogate parent somewhere, she would tell him to go screw himself. And she would be like, hey, man, whatever you got into, you're effed in the A. Bye. I don't care if your dad is played by someone that I like. And I only know who's playing Samuel, because it got ruined for me on Twitter during the original airing.
Like I said, I know a small handful of people that show up, but I don't know context. So I know some of the actors from the Parent series show up. I do not know the context of it. I don't know why they're there, and I don't want to know.
Neither do I. I want to see it all happen. That's why I stopped reading ahead. I will say this, though. Episode 7, so not next week's episode, but the week after, is narrated by Richard Spates Jr.
I love Richard Spates Jr.
I love him so much. Of course, he is Loki, a.k.a. he's Gabriel. He's Gabriel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm Loki, a.k.a. Gabriel, one of the archangels. The most non-fightingest of the archangels, too, by the way. I mean, because I'm sorry, Gabriel the archangel, isn't the hierarchy of archangels supposed to go Lucifer and Michael are supposed to be tied.
Yes.
And then it's supposed to be Gabriel, Raphael, and
there's only 4 archangels.
That's the 4 right there.
No, Lucifer, it's Gabriel. It's
Lucifer. Lucifer, Michael, Gabriel. Okay, so Michael, Gabriel.
Sorry, I'm in the Man of Letters bunker now.
I appreciate that.
So Lucifer doesn't count because he's a fallen angel. So you have Michael, Raphael,
Gabriel,
and Uriel.
All right. So, and then of course,
because as I'm learning more about witchcraft, unironically, there's a lot of Christianity. Like you can be a Christian witch, and I didn't know that. But a lot of people that work with the archangels, in some of my witchcraft books, those are the 4 that come up fairly consistently as the archangels. And Uriel and the parent, all the archangels are dicks, but
except for Gabriel.
But even he's a bit of a jerk.
He is a jerk. Well, see, he's a jerk, but in a different way. He lives the quote unquote hedonistic lifestyle.
Well, he's a jerk out of self-protection and self-preservation.
Yeah, the other ones are just we're so much better than everyone else because we're
Right.
archangels. No,
Yes.
you sniff pee.
Right. Whereas Gabriel's like, I got sick of their shit and I left. And I'm
Yep.
in my own witness protection program. So I'm doing my own thing. And like every kid that's ever run away from home was like, I feel
Right.
that in my soul.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. And of course, though, but I like it's crazy to me how the show made Gabriel like the weakest one because he's not a fighter.
I love Gabriel.
I
He's
do too.
my
I
favorite
do too.
episodes really are,
With
mystery
him.
spot, changing channels, like
The Changing Channels episode, oh my God.
when Dean fangirls over Dr. Sexy. I love it.
I love it where he was like, I'm Sam and I have genital herpes. Like that was so good.
So good. So good. Yes,
Apple.
yes, Anita, there are.
I don't know
Um,
what that word means.
so the Apocrypha are like the law. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Apocrypha are the lost books.
Oh, the lost books of the Bible? The
Yes.
ones that King James was like, whoa, whoa, whoa! These go against my kingly agenda.
Yes. So the Apocrypha are the doubtful. Like we know they're written. They're for private reading, not public in a church because they're not considered canon scripture. So there are 14 books in the Apocrypha. Unironically, a number of them were written by women.
So why don't they get to be canon?
Because the women wrote them.
Fucking Disney and the fucking Disney Bible pisses me off.
Yeah, there's at least 2, maybe 3. The story of Susanna, Esther, Judith. There are a number that are written by women, and it was like, well, a woman wrote it, so it can't be canon. So yeah, there are angels and beings in those as well. But the main canon archangels are those 4.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. So, long story short, John goes in and he helps Mary face what's going on, and he saves her from the Akrita. Now, that definitely makes me want to know what more is it, because that means now if the Akrita are definitely making it a point to try to get Mary, then what is it about her that has so much importance in the balance?
Well, we're setting up that, just like with last week's episode, setting up that John is predestined to fight the Akrita. It's the Dean and Sam, Michael and Lucifer predestination, me versus you kind of thing that's getting set up here.
Right.
Because if Mary is critical to the Akrita and John was critical to the Resistance, right? And then we've got Dean as Michael and Sam as Lucifer, and we know God is fickle like that.
Yo, cut it out. All right. Sorry, Odette wanted to try to say something. She's wanting love and attention. She's wanting love. So,
and we also find out that the Akrita are collecting the essence, which we've seen in previous episodes, but that Lata makes the point, we're doing their dirty work for them.
Right.
Eating these bad guys, it's easy for them to roll in and pick up the essence.
Right. They gotta find a way to kill them and get rid of their essence somehow, which unfortunately your heavy hitter in the mysticism is now gone because Ada actually reconciles and leaves with him to make sure he can get to that safe place.
I hope she's back in the next episode and that there's a little bit of a time jump because I really like her.
Ada is probably, between her and Lata, they are my favorite characters. For me, and then Carlos.
Yeah, see, it's me, it's Ada, Carlos, and then Lata.
Well, see, I can't lie, I crush on Lata, but I love the lore master. I love the fact that she's the lore master. So whenever there's a female character that's like a lore master, it just gets me.
Carlos reminds me a lot of Garth.
Yeah, I could see that.
And Garth is probably in
I love Garth.
My top 5 of the secondary characters that we know. I love Garth, and Yeah. So I think
No.
I see Carlos a lot as a Garth-like character.
I feel like Carlos has the potential to be a breakout character.
Oh yeah.
Um, each episode, he like, and the actor that portrays him, I want to look his name up real quick so I can give him the love that he deserves. Jojo, um, I'm gonna ruin his name. Jojo Flietes. He every scene that he's in, he does more than hold his own. It's almost like his presence really helps to carry some of these scenes when he's in there. You know what I mean? He's not just a sidekick to John and Mary.
Right. Right.
He is on their level. And in a lot of ways, John has to catch up to him.
Yes.
And that's not saying that Meg Donnelly and Drake Roger are good. They are good. It's just that JoJo is really, really good as well. It's kind of like, and I've made this comparison in the past. A lot of people I know hate the live action Aladdin. I actually appreciated it,
I
but
did. I had my beef with it, but it wasn't major.
right. Let me guess. You didn't feel like Will Smith was
No,
right.
it
No.
was not. Will
Okay.
Smith did great. I think they missed a opportunity for him to make a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air joke.
Okay. Yeah.
But really, honestly, my biggest problem with it was that the Aladdin myth is Middle Eastern,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the music and the costuming was Bollywood India.
Mm.
So it couldn't decide what it wanted to do or
And
be
what it wanted to
Middle
be.
Eastern or Indian. And that was really I thought that the acting was fantastic. The dancing was great. The music was great. But it had more of a Bollywood flair to it than I expected as a film based on a myth that takes place in the Middle East.
Right. I
And
can
that was
understand
never-
that. I can tap dance to that. I get what got me was that the fellow that played Aladdin, he was a good Aladdin.
Mhm.
But Naomi Scott was so good as
she nailed it.
Jasmine, and especially singing wise, that she made him look bad.
Yeah.
She made him look subpar, even though he did really, really well.
And I really like the guy who played Jafar. I think he nailed it.
And I was getting ready to make that point too. And Jafar was so good.
I want a
It made
villain
him
movie
look
about
bad.
Jafar. I want
that Jafar.
Jafar story. That's what
What I further appreciate is that he
My
did
daughter
not,
is agreeing. She's over here with a thumb. Yeah.
and I also liked that we didn't have that creepy old man trying to get with the little girl.
Yes.
Because that just makes me cringe hard.
Yes. But
Now,
I want a Jafar movie like we have Maleficent. I want a Jafar movie, and I want him to play Jafar, and I want to know how he got to that point because there's a story there, and I want to hear it.
And now, Ada, who is played masterfully by Demetria McKinney, is listed as main cast. So she's not going to be gone for long.
Oh, good. Because I really, really, really dig her.
Matter of fact, it looks like Ada, at minimum, shows back up in episode 7.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, this is an episode that it continues the positive of what we've had in the last couple of weeks. And more, I'm forgetting that I ever had an issue with the first episode.
Well, I think we came into it, especially as people who are fans of the original show, right? For the Mary and John story, which has been told kind of in the parent episode.
Right. But even this telling of it is so different.
It's so different. But I think this series really hinges on not Mary and John, even though it's their story,
but the people
on supporting characters.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And also how Mary and John are growing into the characters that we know. Because we're seeing a little bit of older John, because we're starting to see him become a sort of curmudgeon and that discipline of do what I say when I say it, don't ask questions. Because you notice he's not asking questions anymore. And if he does ask questions, they're only pertinent. He's not asking why. He's saying how, how. How do I do this? How do I do that? What about this? What about that? Not why are we doing this, which is what Sam did all the time.
Yeah, it's a different kind of questioning.
Right. So, let's get some bartender Smiley in here, and we're gonna give our rating of episode 5 of the Winchesters, Legend of a Mind.
The Plotaholics rating system for the movies is a pretty simple system. Basically, they rate movies based on how many shots it takes to get through them. So if you got a good movie and you get through it all the way sober, then it takes 0 shots to get through the movie. And then if you got a really bad movie, then it could take up to 5 shots to get through the whole thing. I think you can try to figure out the middle part yourself. So, what can I get you?
All right, Melinda, give me your rating for episode 5. Legend
I'm going to
of a
take
Mind.
1 shot of Hunter's Helper. And it's only because I don't know that I like that we have seen the Akrita.
Okay.
I think that's been kind of my only kind of trailing issue through the last couple episodes is when it was there are these big bads. I'm not afraid of a space cockroach. So I think that is really my only beef so far with the big bad. I mean, I'm not afraid of them, and I don't know that they've set other than saying, "Oh well, they're a threat to the entire existence." Great, but why?
All right, Sam.
Why?
All
Like,
right.
we'll get there. I'm sure. We're just not
Yeah.
there yet. So them being, I'm digging the monster of the week. I'm really digging the reason why we have non-native monsters being such a big deal.
Yeah, because Tony even said, I heard this call that brought me here.
Yeah.
So
And
the Akrita's putting out this call.
Yeah, we had that in the Parent show, but we never knew why. It was like we just kind of accepted. I mean, there was a comment in passing in the Parent episode about, and I forget what a Wendigo, the Wendigo episode, when they're like, but Wendigo aren't native to here. Why is there one here? And then they didn't really mention that again.
Right.
Right.
They just sort of treated it as, this is just a rando thing.
Yeah. Like the Kitsune, they're Japanese. What were they doing in America?
Right.
And Vitalas, like the djinn, what were they doing here?
I love the fact that you remember so much about Supernatural, and you're like making me have to think back. Like, must go through the archives.
It's my anxiety show. I watch it all the time. But we're getting the reason why in this, and maybe that's why in the Parent episode, maybe it's a little bit of retconning. Maybe this is why we have them so commonplace in the Parent episode, is because at some point in the past, the Akrita pulled them here.
I like that. I like that.
So I'm digging that, and I could just be pulling that out of my rear. You know, that may not be what was intended, but that's what I'm getting from it.
Hey, at this point, we can do whatever we want with it, so I'm all for it. I'm going to go with. I'm going to give this one a 0 shot rating. For this week, I really feel like number one, I love the fact that we got a deeper human element as well with Ada, and we got the mom isn't perfect, and her owning it. She's not trying to explain away. Look, this is what I did. This is why I did it, and I was wrong. Meanwhile, John and Mary, for their part, John's like, look, man, I did what I did. I did the best that I could do. Get over it. And Mary was like, well, I wasn't there. Well, good excuse. You weren't here. Oh, wow. How convenient for you. You were dead.
Can I say Ada does not look old enough to have a teenage son?
Ada and I are the same age, yeah.
I don't believe it.
We are. Actually, I'm older than Ada in real life. I'm older than her by 3 months. She was born in August. I was born in May.
How old are you?
I'll be 44.
I don't believe it.
Y'all see this? You see all this gray here?
Listen, my birthday is tomorrow. My birthday is tomorrow.
Woo!
And I'm 32 and I'm not 44. So
Now you outed yourself.
I didn't
I
say
ain't out you.
all I said was my birthday's tomorrow and I'm not 44.
Yeah, but you still outed yourself with your birth date and your hair. So, well, no, I'm turning 44. So, I mean, look, it just goes to show, man, no cracking. No cracking. But I'll tell you what, though. Ada is she's definitely become my favorite character because, you know, she's our witch. She's our sage.
I dig her.
Lata is our lore master, who is just so sweet. Carlos is our jagoff. He's our jackass. But he's like the third dude. Well, Ada's technically the third person. She's also
he's like Garth, you know, like he takes the guy out and he's like, "You got Garth," and that is like such a Carlos thing. I love it.
Well, I could see Carlos calling somebody something real seductive in Spanish after killing them off. So This show is just getting better and better and better, and I can't wait. 2 days from now, on the 27th, Katie will be joining us as we talk episode 1 of Firefly. I have not watched Firefly, so this is going to be new for me, and I'm kind of excited for this experience. And we're basically going to be doing Firefly, and we're going to finish off Firefly when it's done with a viewing. Gonna see if I can get myself a Shane Wilson sighting for our Serenity episode, which would be pretty awesome. But yeah, we're going to be finishing up. We've got another month or so of the Winchesters. And then we're going to move on to our next thing, which is kind of cool because there's a lot of good TV that's coming this summer. We got the next season of The Boys coming,
I'm so excited about that.
Which we're going to do along with Katie. So ending Firefly should come together with that. If it doesn't, I'll find something to keep us entertained until The Boys. But I mean, there's so much other stuff that we can do. So if you like what we do, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Get into the comments as well. Is there a TV series or something that maybe you want us to tackle? Or, you know, mini series that you might want us to tackle? Let us know. I mean, hell, maybe we'll do the It 1990 mini series. Why not? It was a series, you know, or something. You know what I mean? Let us know. But with that being said, we will talk to you guys again in 2 days on the 27th of this great month of April. And we're going to be talking episode 1 of Firefly. So, episode 5 of The Winchesters gets a 1-shot rating from Melinda, 0 shot from me. Oh, nice. See, it's funny. It's a small, small world. Look at Anita, just interviewing people and getting it done. Look at you.
That's right.
Also, I'm going to be featured in a new show on the Go Indie Now network in the coming months. There'll be more information on that as we get closer. But Joe Compton and I are finally going to be coming together for an awesome project, and it's going to be great. But with that being said, we're going to get on out of here because we got to continue our day. So for Melinda, I'm Brian. Katie, who's not with us today, we'll see you guys on Thursday for another edition of Tann Talks.